At least 23 Palestinians have been killed and several others wounded in an Israeli airstrike on a home belonging to the Al-Qarnawi family in eastern Burej refugee camp, central Gaza. Additional casualties were reported in separate Israeli strikes, including the death of a man in south of Khan Yunis. Emergency crews also retrieved bodies from previous bombings in Abasan al-Kabira and Gaza City's Shujaiya neighborhood. One civilian was reportedly shot dead by Israeli forces near an aid center in southwestern Khan Yunis. Gaza's government media office has reported that at least 10 Palestinians were killed and more than 60 injured over the past 48 hours after Israeli forces opened fire on civilians trying to access aid from the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The incident occurred in Rafah, where disturbing footage showed desperate crowds rushing towards the aid distribution site, many forced to wait in cage-like lines. The aid mechanism, supported by the United States, has faced growing criticism from UN officials and humanitarian organizations. Critics argue the system is inadequate and dangerous, saying Israel continues to obstruct trusted aid agencies capable of delivering life-saving assistance at scale. A UN warehouse in central Gaza has been stormed by desperate civilians as severe hunger continues to sweep the war-torn enclave. According to the World Food Programme, 2 people were killed and several others injured in the chaos. The agency warned that unless food aid is significantly scaled up, similar outbursts of violence are likely. The incident comes just 10 days after Israel lifted an 11-week blockade, allowing limited aid to flow through the UN and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. However, humanitarian groups say current deliveries remain far below the level needed to meet the urgent needs of the population. Workers were seen unloading sacks of humanitarian aid at Kerem Abu Salam crossing as preparations continue for Gaza-bound deliveries. The operation comes amid growing international pressure following Israel's decision to lift an 11-week blockade on Gaza 10 days ago. Since then, aid has been allowed through limited channels, including the UN and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. According to the UN, Israel has approved around 800 truckloads of aid since deliveries returned last week. The United Nations and its humanitarian partners have raised alarm over Israel's newly imposed military-controlled aid system in Gaza, saying it fails to meet urgent needs, undermines civilian dignity, and places lives at risk. The UN team urged Israel to ensure humane treatment of civilians, allow unimpeded delivery of aid, and halt all forced displacement. They called for regular and sustained aid flows through multiple crossings and emphasized that humanitarian partners, including UNRWA, must be granted access to provide not only supplies but also vital services across the Gaza Strip.